Pause for a moment, Aries. Something is happening in the astrological sky right now. And if you listen closely, you may begin to feel that the energy around you is shifting. This is not just another prediction. This is a message forming through the movement of the planets, a signal the universe may be sending specifically to those who carry the powerful energy of Aries. In recent days, many Aries may have felt a strange inner pull, a quiet feeling that something is about to happen. A new door is slowly beginning to open, but it may not arrive in the way you expect. It could appear through an unexpected meeting, a small invitation, or a decision you never thought you would have to make. Yet in astrology, moments like these often mark the beginning of a major turning point. Aries is ruled by Mars, the planet of action, courage, and pionniers. When major planets begin to move in special ways around the energy of Aries, it often signals that a new life cycle is being activated. And sometimes, that cycle carries an opportunity powerful enough to change the entire direction of your future, including doors connected to your career, your finance, and your long-term prosperity. In the minutes ahead, we're going to explore why the universe's energy is becoming especially strong for Aries right now, what signs may show that opportunity is moving closer into your life, and the one thing Aries must do in this moment to avoid missing the turning point that destiny may be opening. But before we go deeper into this message, leave a simple affirmation in the comments below. I am ready to step through my destiny's door and welcome the prosperity meant for me. For some people, it may sound like just a sentence, but in the world of astrology and spiritual energy, an affirmation is a way of sending a signal to the universe that you are ready for change. And if, while listening, something in this message resonates with you, take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who may also need to hear it, because the energy we share often travels further than we realize. And what the universe may be preparing for Aries might not be something small. It could be the beginning of an entirely new chapter. And when we look deeper into the current astrological map, there is a very specific reason why Aries energy is becoming stronger than it has been in a long time. That reason leads us directly to the next part of this journey, where we explore why Aries may be entering a period many astrologers describe as a moment of destiny's turning point. If you look at the Zodiac wheel in astrology, you'll notice something fascinating. Every sign has its role in the human journey, but only one sign stands at the very beginning. And that sign is Aries. This is not random. Across ancient astrological traditions, from Babylon to Greece, Aries has always symbolized the moment when the universe declares, "Now it begins." So when we speak about Aries, we are not simply talking about a zodiac sign. We are talking about the energy of beginnings, the energy of those who step forward before the path is clearly drawn, those who do not wait for perfection, but choose to move, even when the future is still uncertain. I've always believed there is a deeper reason why people who carry Aries energy often feel a fire inside them. It is not impatience, as many people assume. It is the instinct of the pioneer, a quiet voice within, whispering that you were never meant to stand still in one place for too long. Over many years of studying astrology and listening to the life stories of countless people, I've come to notice something very interesting. The greatest turning points in life often happen to those who are brave enough to listen to that inner call. And what's fascinating is this: many of those people carry strong Aries energy in their birth chart, because Aries is not simply the first sign of the zodiac. Aries represents the moment a human being stands up and says, "I will try." And perhaps that is exactly why this moment in your life may feel so significant. When we look up at the astrological sky right now, there is a movement unfolding that astrologers are watching very closely. Mars, the ruling planet of Aries, is activating a powerful current of energy. In astrology, Mars is not only the planet of action. Mars represents willpower, the drive to move forward, even when the road ahead is not easy. But what has truly caught astrologers' attention is not Mars alone. It is the interaction between Mars and the great planets Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter, the planet of expansion, luck, and opportunity, often opens new doors in our lives. It widens our perspective. It helps us see possibilities that once seemed invisible. Meanwhile, Saturn carries a very different kind of energy. Saturn rarely brings easy things. Saturn brings lessons. But those lessons are what shape true maturity. When Jupiter and Saturn form strong aspects with the energy of Aries, It often marks a very special period in life, a moment when life begins asking deeper questions. Do you continue walking the familiar path, or are you ready to step onto a new one? I believe many Aries can feel this shift. Maybe you haven't been able to name the feeling yet, but perhaps something inside you has started to sense that life feels slightly different lately. Maybe a new thought has appeared in your mind, an idea you never seriously considered before, or a quiet feeling that something in your life needs to change. Because sometimes, change does not begin with a dramatic event. It begins with something very small. A subtle feeling. A quiet question inside your mind. A thought that whispers, maybe I was meant for something more. I once heard a beautiful idea that stayed with me. The moment you begin questioning your current path is often the exact moment a new path begins forming. For Aries, this is especially true because your nature is movement. You are not the zodiac sign of delay. You are the zodiac sign of action. And when astrological energy begins activating important areas of your birth chart, it rarely does so gently. It creates a push, a feeling that you cannot remain where you are forever. But here lies a profound lesson that astrology always reminds us of. Great opportunities rarely arrive in perfect form. They do not show up with a giant sign saying, "This is your moment." Instead, they often appear as a difficult decision, a step that requires leaving your comfort zone, a moment where you must choose between familiarity and growth. That is how the universe tests our courage. And if you are hearing these words right now, perhaps it is not a coincidence. Perhaps you too are standing before a decision in your life. A decision you know, if you step through it, everything could change. If that resonates with you, share it in the comments. Have you felt lately that life is pushing you toward change? Sometimes simply saying it out loud helps us realize we are not alone on this journey. And if a part of your heart is quietly telling you that it may be time to begin a new chapter, write a simple affirmation in the comments. I am ready to welcome a new turning point in my life. For some people, that might sound like just a sentence, but in the world of energy and astrology, our words carry real power. They shape the way we think, and our thoughts are where all transformation begins. What I'm about to share next may change the way you see Aries energy entirely, because there is a very special reason why Aries individuals often appear at important turning points in history. A reason connected to a quality that astrology calls the energy of the pioneer. And once you understand this, you may begin to realize that the opportunity approaching Aries right now is not simply random luck. It may be the result of a powerful energy that has been building for a very long time. But here is the surprising part. Not everyone recognizes opportunity when it first appears. And in the next part of this journey, we will explore a special trait of Aries that has the power to transform a small opportunity into a life-changing turning point. And once you understand it, you may begin to notice signs that you once overlooked. Sometimes in life, there are moments that feel strangely quiet. No dramatic event happens right away. No bell rings to announce that destiny is shifting. And yet, somewhere deep inside your mind, you begin to feel a subtle movement, a sense that something is forming, something that has not fully revealed itself yet, but is slowly moving closer, day by day. In astrology, moments like these often appear when the sky itself begins forming unusual energy patterns. Not everyone notices it, but those who are sensitive to the rhythm of life often feel it before they can explain it. And recently, as many astrologers observe the planetary map, they are noticing something remarkable, a current of energy gathering around those who carry Aries energy. This movement involves Jupiter, the planet of expansion and opportunity, together with Mars, the ruling planet of Aries. When these two forces begin interacting strongly, they often activate areas of life connected to finance, career, and new opportunities. But here is something important about astrology. It rarely says that luck simply falls from the sky. Instead, it teaches that the universe creates doors, and whether we step through those doors depends entirely on us. For Aries, this becomes even more meaningful, because in the entire zodiac wheel, Aries represents the first act of courage, not the first thought, but the first action. When opportunity appears, Aries is often the one who takes the first step into territory no one has explored yet. There is something I have noticed again and again. When listening to the stories of people with strong Aries energy, many of them say the biggest turning points in their lives began with something unexpected. A meeting that seemed accidental, an invitation that felt small, an idea that appeared on an ordinary evening. Yet those small moments ended up opening entirely new paths. Perhaps because the universe does not always announce itself before it changes your life. Sometimes it simply opens a door quietly and waits to see who is brave enough to walk through it. If you are Aries, you may have felt this before. There may have been a moment when you stood in front of an opportunity that didn't feel completely certain. Maybe you even felt afraid, but somewhere deep inside, you still chose to try. And many times, that decision led you somewhere you never imagined before. That is the true nature of Aries energy. You do not wait until everything is perfect. You move forward when your heart tells you the moment has arrived. And in astrology, when Jupiter begins illuminating important areas of a person's birth chart, it often brings opportunities connected to growth, not only financial growth, but expansion of the mind, the vision, and the direction of your career. For many Aries during this period, these opportunities may appear in different forms. It could be a new career path, a project you never imagined yourself joining, or a relationship with someone who helps expand your financial world. But here is something that surprises many people. Real opportunity rarely appears when we feel completely ready. It often arrives when we still feel a little uncertain. Perhaps that is how the universe tests our courage, because if everything were guaranteed, it would no longer be a leap of faith. There is a beautiful idea in philosophy that says human beings grow the most when they move forward, even before they can see the entire road. For Aries, this is almost instinct. Deep inside, you understand something about life. Life does not always give us a complete map. Sometimes, it only gives us a small light ahead, and our task is simply to follow that light. If you listen carefully to yourself lately, you may notice something changing inside you. Perhaps you have begun thinking more about the future. Perhaps you are asking questions you never asked before. Is there a bigger path waiting for me? Is there an opportunity somewhere ahead? Questions like these are not signs of instability. In astrology, they are often signs of awakening. It is like a seed beginning to feel the sunlight above the soil. Before it can grow upward, it must break through its old shell. And sometimes, that process is not easy. But that very moment is the beginning of growth. Let me ask you a simple question. If tomorrow, a new door opened in front of you, an opportunity you never imagined before, would you be ready to step through it? Not when you feel completely fearless, but when you still feel afraid, and you choose to move forward anyway. Share your thoughts in the comments, because sometimes, speaking these thoughts out loud helps us understand ourselves more clearly. And if inside your heart, you sense that something is changing, write a simple sentence. I am ready for a new opportunity in my life. Affirmations like this carry quiet strength. They are not magic, but they help open our minds to possibilities we might have overlooked before. And for Aries, opening yourself to new possibilities is often the first step toward a life-changing turning point. One thing I've always admired about people who carry strong Aries energy is their ability to act. Many people have brilliant ideas, but not everyone has the courage to begin. Aries is different. When something feels right to you, you tend to try. And that is why, in so many stories of success, we often find people who chose to start while everyone else was still hesitating. Astrology does not say that our destiny is already written, but it does suggest something important. There are moments in life when doors begin to open, and this period seems to be one of those moments. For many Aries right now, maybe you cannot clearly see that door yet, but if you continue to observe, if you keep listening to the small opportunities appearing around you, you may slowly begin to realize that the universe is guiding you toward a new direction. Sometimes opportunity does not arrive with a loud announcement. Sometimes it arrives as a whisper, an idea, A conversation. A small opportunity that almost seems insignificant. But years later, when you look back, you may realize that one small moment changed your entire life. And what makes this even more fascinating is that Aries carries a very special quality that can turn those small moments into real turning points. Many astrologers call it the power of the pioneer. Once you understand this quality, you begin to see the opportunities around you in a completely different way. And in the next part of this journey, we will explore this remarkable trait of Aries more deeply, the trait that can transform an unexpected opportunity into a path toward prosperity and lasting success. Because when we speak about Aries energy, something interesting often happens. Many people look at Aries and only see speed, impulsiveness, or a restless drive to keep moving forward. But if we only look at the surface, we miss the deepest meaning of this zodiac sign. In classical astrology, Aries is not simply the first sign of the zodiac wheel. Aries represents the first moment of life itself, the moment when a soul decides to enter the journey of experience. It is the moment of primal courage, when something entirely new begins to appear in the world. So if you are an Aries, or if Aries energy is strong in your birth chart, there is a truth you may have felt many times in your life. You rarely feel completely comfortable standing still and repeating the same patterns forever. Deep inside, there is always a quiet voice encouraging you to try something new, not because you seek reckless risk, but because your soul was designed to move forward. This is where many people misunderstand Aries. They assume you act too quickly, but astrology sees it differently. It says Aries has a rare ability, the ability to feel timing. There are moments in life when the world needs someone to step forward first, someone willing to say what others are afraid to say, someone willing to try, consider what no one has tried, someone willing to begin while others are still watching. In those moments, Aries energy often appears. If you look throughout history, you will see this pattern again and again. Many individuals who transformed society, who reshaped the way people think, who opened new paths in business, innovation, and creativity, often carried powerful Aries energy in their charts. That does not mean they were fearless. In fact, many of them felt enormous doubt, but the difference was this: they did not allow fear to become the reason they stopped. They moved forward, even when the full path was still invisible. And that is the true strength of Aries. In life, we are often taught to prepare carefully before beginning something new, and that advice is not wrong. But if we wait until everything becomes perfect, we may never begin anything at all. Aries teaches the world a simple but profound lesson. Sometimes, the first action is what creates clarity. You do not need to see the entire road to take the first step. You only need the courage to begin. Over the years, I have heard many stories from people with strong Aries energy. Some said they started a new career when everyone around them thought it was a crazy idea. Others walked away from a path that no longer felt right and stepped into a completely new field. And in many of those cases, those decisions opened doors they never could have imagined before. This is not magic, it is simply the result of a powerful truth about life. The world often makes room for those who dare to move first. If you are an Aries listening right now, you may remember a moment like this in your own life. A moment when you chose to try something, even though part of you felt uncertain. Take a moment and remember that time. Perhaps it was when you started a new job. Perhaps it was when you walked away from a place that no longer fit your heart. Or perhaps it was the moment you finally spoke words you had kept inside for years. At that moment, you may have felt afraid, but when you look back today, you may realize something powerful. That single moment may have changed your entire life. If you remember an experience like that, share it in the comments, not to boast, but to remind yourself how strong you once were. Because sometimes, when we tell our stories, they become a light for someone else standing at a similar crossroads. And that is one of the most beautiful human values in our journey through life. We do not grow only for ourselves. We grow so that our light can help guide someone else. Aries energy has always carried that spirit, not the spirit of competition to prove you are better than others, but the courage to step forward first, and open a path that others may one day follow. Perhaps that is also why the universe often gives Aries special opportunities during important moments in time, because when a new door appears, the world needs someone brave enough to step through it first. But there is another side to Aries energy that people rarely talk about. It is the connection between courage and prosperity. In astrology, money is not only about numbers, it is about energy flow, and the people who dare to act are often the first to connect with new streams of opportunity. Think about this for a moment. When a new path appears in society, the first people who step onto that path are often the ones who create the greatest value, not because they are luckier, but because they arrived earlier. And this is where Aries energy becomes a tremendous gift. You have a natural instinct for recognizing when it is time to move. Sometimes that instinct may make you feel as if you are going against the flow of the crowd, but history has shown again and again that the greatest leaps forward in society often begin with those who dare to think differently and act differently. The important thing to remember is this: the true strength of Aries is not about running faster than everyone else. It is about having the courage to begin when others are still hesitating. That is a rare quality, and when that quality aligns with the right moment in the universe's astrological flow, very special opportunities can appear. If you feel that lately, life has been placing new choices in front of you, do not immediately assume that it is coincidence. Sometimes, it is the universe reminding you that your pioneering spirit is being called forward again. And if this message resonates with you, leave a simple affirmation in the comments. I am ready to step onto my new path. Not because you are certain everything will be perfect, but because you believe your journey is worth beginning. In the next part of this journey, we will explore a question that many Aries are quietly asking right now. Why do the opportunities appearing at this moment seem connected to finances, career, and prosperity? Because when we look deeper into the current astrological movements, there is a fascinating sign that something rare is happening. The energy of expansion and the energy of courage are converging at the same time. And that may explain why a new door is slowly opening in the lives of many Aries. There is something very interesting about astrology that people often only understand after observing their life for many years. There are periods when everything seems to open at once. Opportunities, ideas, new paths, all begin appearing, as if an invisible current is quietly guiding life forward. In astrology, these periods are often connected to the energy of Jupiter. Jupiter is not the planet of small changes. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. When Jupiter touches a certain area of our birth chart, it is like sunlight reaching a garden. After a long winter, things that were sleeping begin to move. Seeds buried deep in the soil begin to sprout. For a fire sign like Aries, Jupiter's energy often becomes especially powerful because Aries already carries the fire of action. And when Jupiter activates that fire, it does not simply create movement, it creates an explosion of potential. In many recent astrological charts, astrologers have noticed that Jupiter's expanding energy is having a remarkable influence on people with strong Aries energy. And this influence often touches three important areas of human life: opportunity, career, and prosperity. But when we speak about prosperity, there is something important to understand first. Jupiter does not only bring money. Money is only a very small part of true prosperity. What Jupiter really brings is something far deeper. It brings a new way of seeing life. Perhaps in the past, you once looked at a certain path in your life and believed that was your limit. You may have thought that your life would simply continue along that road for many years to come. But when Jupiter begins activating energy within your birth chart, the first thing that usually changes is not your external circumstances. The first thing that changes is the way you see the world. You begin to notice possibilities that once escaped your attention. You begin asking questions you never asked before, and perhaps you slowly realize that you carry more potential than you once believed. And that moment, that quiet realization, is often where true prosperity begins. Because before a new door can open in the outer world, it must first open inside your mind. Over the years, I have met many people with strong Aries energy, and there is something I often notice. When they enter powerful astrological periods, they begin to feel that their old path no longer fits them. Not because the path was wrong, but because they have grown beyond it. Perhaps you are feeling that too, in your own life right now. Maybe you are still doing the same familiar things, but somewhere inside, there is a quiet feeling that you were meant for something more. Sometimes that feeling appears very softly, just a passing thought, a small question inside your mind. But if you listen to it long enough, you begin to realize it is not random at all. It is your intuition. In astrology, when Jupiter begins expanding a person's energy, intuition often becomes clearer. You begin sensing new directions before they fully appear in your life. And interestingly, moments like these often come with a familiar challenge. The question of the comfort zone. A comfort zone is not always a bad place. Sometimes it is where we learn, where we grow, where we build our foundation. But if we stay there for too long, it can slowly become an invisible cage. And when Jupiter begins expanding your vision, you may suddenly realize that the cage no longer fits who you are becoming. That is when life asks a very simple, yet very profound question. Do you dare to step outside? Not because you are certain everything will be easy, but because you know, if you never step out, you will never discover how far you could truly go. There is a saying I often remember when speaking about prosperity. Prosperity is not a reward for those who are perfect. It is the result for those who dare to expand themselves. For Aries, this idea carries special meaning because your energy was born to move forward. You are not the zodiac sign of hesitation. You are the zodiac sign of beginnings. When Jupiter sends a fresh wind into the fire of Aries, it often reveals opportunities that others may not even notice yet. A new project, a new direction in your career, a new connection with someone who opens doors you once believed were impossible. But it is important to understand something. Opportunity does not always arrive with a giant sign attached to it. Sometimes, it appears as a small idea, a conversation, a seemingly ordinary invitation. Yet years later, when you look back, you may realize that moment changed your entire life. If recently, you feel yourself thinking differently about the future, trust that this may not be coincidence. It may be a sign that the energy of expansion has already begun moving in your life. And sometimes, the only thing needed to activate that opportunity is one small decision. A decision that says, you are willing to try. If this message resonates with you, leave a simple affirmation in the comments below. I am ready to receive the prosperity the universe has prepared for me. This is not just a sentence. It is a reminder to yourself that you no longer wish to limit your life to the possibilities of the past. You are ready to see further, ready to dream bigger, and ready to walk a path you may never have imagined before. Because when a person begins changing the way they see life, life often begins changing the way it responds to them. And something interesting is happening in the current astrological movements. There are signs that the opportunity we have been talking about may not be far away anymore. In fact, it may already be appearing around you. You simply may not have recognized the signals yet. In the next part of this journey, we will explore the very specific signs the universe often sends before a major turning point arrives in the life of an Aries. And once you understand those signs, you may begin to notice things you once overlooked. There are moments in life when something begins to feel different. Even though, on the surface, everything looks exactly the same. You still wake up in the morning. You still go about your familiar routines. You still see the same people you have always known. But somewhere deep inside your mind, you begin to sense that something has quietly shifted. A very subtle movement is taking place within your soul. For many people who carry the energy of Aries, this is often the very first sign that a turning point is approaching. In astrology, before a major life transition arrives, the human mind and intuition usually feel it first, not through clear logic, but through very delicate emotions, a quiet restlessness, a feeling as if you are standing in front of a door, but the door has not fully opened yet. You do not know exactly what is waiting ahead, but you somehow know you cannot remain where you are forever. This is a very familiar state when Aries energy is strongly activated. The Mars in the astrological chart. Mars is the planet of movement. It does not enjoy stagnation. When the energy of Mars begins to spread strongly, it is like a flame being lit inside a person. That flame is not there to destroy. It is there to awaken. To awaken your desire to move forward. To awaken your curiosity for something new. To awaken the most courageous part of your spirit. And something interesting often happens to Aries during times like this. Many of them say they feel a very clear inner push, a quiet voice within, whispering, "It is time to change something." Sometimes this feeling arrives very gently. You begin thinking more deeply about what you truly want to do in life. You start imagining a life different from the one you are living now. You begin sensing that perhaps you were meant to travel farther than the road you are currently walking. For some people, this feeling can be unsettling at first, because change always comes with uncertainty. But in astrology, that restlessness is often a sign of awakening. It is like a sail beginning to feel the wind before the boat actually starts moving. Many people, when they look back at their lives, realize that before every major turning point, they pass through a moment just like this. A moment when everything began to feel a little more alive. A time when new people appeared, new ideas surfaced, or unexpected opportunities suddenly came into view. In astrology, unexpected encounters are rarely completely random. When a person's energy begins to shift, they are often guided toward new environments, new relationships, new conversations. And sometimes, one simple conversation can completely change the way you see your future. You may meet someone who mentions an opportunity you never considered before. You may hear a story that suddenly shows you your path could be far wider than you once believed. You may read something that makes you realize you are ready for a new step. Moments like these often appear when the universe is quietly opening a new chapter in your life. But there is one truth astrology always reminds us of: opportunity is only a door. Whether you step through that door is still your choice. And often, the only thing standing between you and a life-changing moment is fear. Fear is deeply human. Everyone has felt it. But fear is not always a sign that you should stop. Sometimes, fear is simply a sign that you are standing in front of something important. There is a quote I often remember when speaking about life's turning points: the greatest opportunities in a person's life often exist just on the other side of fear. And this is especially true for the energy of Aries, because if there is une Zodiac sign that was born to walk through fear, it is you. Aries is not fearless. Aries simply refuses to let fear make the decision for them. You may feel nervous. You may feel not completely ready, but somewhere in your heart, you still know you want to try. And that moment, that quiet decision to try anyway, is often where life's greatest turning points begin. If you look back at the biggest changes in your own life, you may notice they started with something small: a simple yes A small step forward. A moment. When you told yourself, I'll try. And that small decision opened doors you could never have imagined before. If recently you feel that life is gently pushing you forward, trust that this feeling is not random. It may be the universe's way of telling you your moment is approaching. You may not see the entire path yet, but you can feel the wind beginning to change. And if you truly feel that in your heart, leave an Aries symbol in the comments below. It is more than a symbol. It is a quiet way of telling yourself you are ready for the next step in your journey, because the moment a person begins believing their life can change, they have already walked halfway toward that change. But there is still one very important thing we have not talked about. Before a true turning point arrive, the universe often sends one final message, a message not meant to warn you, but to remind you of the power you already carry inside. And that is exactly what we will discover in the final part of this journey, a message meant especially for those who carry the pioneering flame of Aries. And now, before we reach the end of this journey together, I want you to pause for just a moment. Take a slow breath and ask yourself one very simple question. If your life is truly standing in front of a new door, are you ready to walk through it? Aries. In astrology, you are not just another zodiac sign. You are the beginning of the entire zodiac circle. You are the very first flame that is lit when a new cycle begins. And that carries a very profound meaning, because in every era of human history, the world has always needed people who are willing to begin before everyone else is ready. People who dare to believe in a path, even when no one has drawn the map yet. People who dare to act while others are still waiting for certainty. And that is the true essence of Aries energy. You were not born to live a small life. You were not born to simply repeat the same roads that others have already walked. Within you, there is always a flame that wants to move forward, to explore, to open new doors, not only for yourself, but often for others as well. And that is why, whenever the universe begins shifting strongly around the energy of Aries, major turning points often appear. But there is one thing very important to remember. The opportunity the universe places before you is not only about money, not only about career, and not only about success in the way society defines it. The true opportunity the universe is offering you is the chance to become a stronger version of yourself, a version of you that is more courageous, a version of you that believes in yourself more deeply, a version of you that is willing to step into new possibilities that once made you hesitate. And when a person truly steps into that version of themselves, prosperity often follows as a natural result, because the world has a remarkable way of responding to people who live in alignment with their true strength. Soy fatany moment. During this video, there was a sentence that touched your heart, or a thought that felt as if it was meant just for you. Then perhaps this message found you at exactly the right time. And because of that, I want to invite you to do something very simple but very meaningful. Write a small affirmation for yourself in the comments below. I am ready to step through the door of my destiny. This is not just a comment, it is a promise to yourself, a promise that you will not allow fear to stop you from living the life you truly deserve. And if you have stayed with me until this very moment, I want to offer you a heartfelt thank you. Thank you for giving your time to listen. In today's busy world, time is one of the most precious gifts we can give each other. And the fact that you chose to stay until the end of this message means more to me than you might imagine. I truly appreciate every single person who listens to these messages, Because this channel is not only about astrology, it is a place where we remind each other that every human being carries a story, a journey, and an infinite potential waiting to be discovered. If this video brought you even a little inspiration, a little hope, or simply encouraged you to reflect more deeply on your own path, then help me share this message. Take a moment to like this video, share it with a friend, a family member, or anyone you feel may need to hear this message right now, because sometimes one message heard at the right moment can completely change the way a person sees their life. And if you would like to continue exploring deeper astrological insights for Aries, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. That way, you will not miss future videos when they are released. Each week, we will explore together the movements of the universe and how they influence your personal journey. And before we say goodbye today, remember one thing: sometimes the biggest changes in a person's life do not begin with a loud event, they begin with a quiet moment, a moment when you decide you are ready to step into the next chapter of your life. And perhaps, just perhaps, today is the day that new chapter begins. And if that is true, then it is an honor to stand beside you in the very first moment of that journey. May the Aries flame in your heart always burn bright, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video.